Hi there, aloha, good afternoon, how's it going? Today is Thursday, January 16th, 2025, currently 78 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 25 degrees Celsius. A beautiful, perfect, sunny, warm winter's day here on the tropical island paradise of Kauai, Hawaii. Oh boy, we got a leaf blower up ahead. So I'm filming another video today in which I will be hopefully meeting up with my friend Yeshua, but I'm not hearing back from him. So for something to do while I'm stuck hanging out in town, I thought that I would tell a story from my vagabond days back in the 1990s when I came to Hawaii for the second time, but for the first time as a solo backpacker adventure traveler. As I've mentioned in previous videos, my first time to Kauai was in 1989 on a week-long vacation with my mom and brother as a high school graduation gift. And then in 1997, I had been living with my father for a little while and working for his company, saving up a little money, not a lot, but enough to go somewhere for the winter. I wasn't doing international traveling yet. I'd been to Europe for the first time back in 1990, but throughout the 1990s, then I hadn't done any more international traveling. It wasn't quite on my radar anymore at that time. But it was winter. Where do you go in winter where you can travel for cheap? Now, anyone who has seen these recent videos of mine back here in Kauai knows that it is not cheap, but you can do it quite cheaply, and that will be part of what I will explain in this video. So I made some money doing construction work for my dad, and saved up maybe $1,000, maybe $1,200, something like that. And I bought a round-trip flight to Hawaii for 2 months, coming back in March. I decided to go to the Big Island first because I had already been to Kauai with my mom and brother, and so thought, well, let's go to a different island. So I pack up my backpack, tent, sleeping bag, camping mattress, all ready to camp, and land on the Big Island on the Hilo side, which is the wetter side, planning to camp, hitchhike, etc. because after buying the ticket with the $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever, then I have left like $700-800 or something for 2 months in Hawaii. And so I really can't afford a hotel room. So I head out from the airport, hitchhiking. It's a cloudy day. Don't have any real specific plans as far as where to go, where to stay. And so I end up somewhere near the beach and camp there for the night. And then because of the weather, I guess I realized that Kona was the sunnier side. And so I hitchhike over the Big Island over to the Kona side and find somewhere to camp just in some trees near the town of Kona there, and wander around a bit. But it's just not working out how I had hoped being on the Big Island. The distances are farther apart for hitchhiking. It's just not feeling like super welcoming and a good place for a homeless, carless backpacker, hitchhiker to be. The Big Island is beautiful. It's absolutely worth going to, but it just wasn't, clicking for me. And so after 5 or 6 days or so there, I remember something just popped into my head. I stayed at this campground south of Kona somewhere, And I remember it rained so hard, it was like flattening my tent, and I ended up going into the bathrooms for the rest of the night and staying there dryish through the night. So that was one thing that happened. And so I had memories of Kauai, and in particular, the Kalalau Valley. Here on Kauai, there is a road that goes about like 4/5 of the way around the island, but it doesn't go along the Na Pali Coast. Na Pali means the cliffs in native Hawaiian, because those cliffs are very severe and you can't build a road there. And so instead, there is a hiking trail that goes along the coast and the cliffs, up and down, up and down. It is a very, very intense hike, 11 miles out to a campground and a beach and a river. Free couch. So when I was here in 1989 with my mom and brother, then we did the first 2 miles of that hike out to Hanakapiai Creek. And at that time, we ended up talking with a forest ranger lady who told us about the whole hike and how you can get out there and there's a campground that you can stay at, etc. And so that was something that had stuck in my mind since 1989. So now it's 1997, and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe now is a good time to try to do that hike up on the Na Pali Coast. So I decided to bail on the Big Island, hop over to Kauai. So I found a cheap flight, like $50 or something, land here, and immediately it just feels kind of better. And so I decided to stay at the hostel here in Kapa'a for 2 or 3 nights. You know, it's like $20 a night or something. I can afford that to sort of establish myself, figure out what my plan is. And so I'm staying at the hostel, wake up the first morning, and decide to go to Secret Beach, which I showed in a recent video. So I head down there. It's a perfect, nice sunny day, even though it's also in January. And get down to the beach. There's a little group of hippies making music. I walk kind of near them, go sit down in the trees there, maybe go take a swim first, and then I decide to walk over and just kind of like introduce myself to these hippies making music and see if I can join them and make some music and somebody to talk to, etc. And as I get closer, then I realize, holy crap, I recognize this guy, a dude with dreadlocks who I had been on a whole adventure with the previous summer. I write about all this in my book, Following My Thumb, A Decade of Unabashed Wanderlust. His name is Natty. He is from the town of Nelson, and the Slocan Valley is next to Nelson, British Columbia, Canada. And this would actually factor into my travel plans many years later. In 2008, I told the whole story in a previous video in which I had a car. I decided to go on a road trip to Jasper National Park to try to find work there because I was born in Vancouver. I'm dual American Canadian. And so in 2008, my first destination was Nelson, because he had talked about it, this cool little mountain town. And so I thought, well, let's head up there and check it out. And that is where I got my SIN card, Canadian SIN card, social insurance number, which I needed to get so that I would be able to work. So there could have been many other mountain towns I might have gone to do that, but I went to that one because of this guy Natty, who I now run into on Secret Beach in Hawaii here. And so our adventure the previous summer had been that I had been at a rainbow gathering in Northern California, and I wanted to go to Sedona, Arizona, and I had talked about this with somebody else at the rainbow gathering, and then I'm hanging out somewhere, and this guy that I had talked to previously comes running up to me and says, "Yo, there are some guys who are driving from here to Sedona, Arizona, if you want to catch a ride with them. And he said they're leaving like right now, like in 30 minutes or something. And so I said, okay, cool, let's do it. And so I run back to my camp, pack up all my stuff, meet these guys, hop in their van, and Natty and this other guy, Apollo, both Canadians, the three of us drive through the night to Sedona, Arizona. And then we have various other adventures. So this is Natty, who I run into on Secret Beach. And so cool to see him. We didn't have email at the time, so hadn't, been in touch at all. And so over the course of the next few days, then I end up meeting up with a whole bunch of other travelers. I think he was the guy that told me about this little gathering happening in the Arboretum here on Kauai. There's this nice like garden, natural like forest, but lots of flowers and stuff in the interior of the island somewhere. And he says, yeah, we're meeting up for like a little get together, maybe potluck sort of a thing, something like that during the day. And so I go over there to that, like a couple days later, and Natty's there, and then I meet a bunch of other people. And so in the course of that gathering there, then a number of us end up talking about the Kalalau Valley. Wow, this is a much better looking beach for swimming at, not seeing all the rocks. I've certainly seen this beach before, but had forgotten that it was such a nice one, stretching all the way around there. That's great to see. I have my swimsuit. This might be the spot to get wet after I finish up this video. So we're all hanging out and end up talking about the Kalalau Valley. Some have been there, others also want to go, and so we decide, let's all go on a group hiking, camping adventure out onto the Na Pali Coast to the Kalalau Valley at the end of the trail. So we all agree to do this like 2 or 3 days later or something. And so that day comes, and I forget if we had like a meeting time for the end of the trail or what, but I don't remember exactly that first hike, other than it was raining. It was really pouring down rain. And I remember one guy, he was like maybe from Wisconsin or something, forget his name. I remember, I think I was taking a break out of the rain somewhere along the trail, came across this little wooden shack, and so got into that shack under the ceiling to get out of the rain. And then that other guy came hiking up the trail, and I must have recognized him as being one of the people that was at that little gathering, and said, hey, whatever his name was, how's it going? And so I think that the two of us probably joined up together and kept hiking the rest of the trail. So eventually we get out there. I forget now if I did it all in a day or if it took 2 days that time, because it's 11 miles, but it is a very, very intense up and down, very steep at times trail. And most of the times that I've done the hike since then has taken me 2 days, not 1 day. Anyway, somehow or other, we arrive and set up our tents. The weather improves at some point, whether it was that day or the next day, and the other people are also arriving. Maybe some were already there at that point. And so we decided to do a sweat lodge. That's like a rainbow gathering thing. Obviously it is a Native American thing, but within like the hippie community, then it happens at rainbow gatherings, and so I had experience with it from rainbow gatherings. And so we all camped like kind of near each other by the beach in the campground, and just have a great time hanging out, talking. And then we plan to do this sweat lodge sometime, a few days later or something. And so that happens. We have that ceremony at a heiau, which is a native Hawaiian ceremonial spot. There is one there. It is this really nice green grass. It's like, looks man-made. It's like kind of almost unnatural because the grass is just so perfect. With a really nice view of the ocean and the cliffs, and there's no sign saying, you know, keep off, keep out, because it's a Native American ceremonial site or anything. There's no sign that even specifies what it is, but this is just kind of known. So there's, you know, no issue with us doing this there. So we build the little structure. It's just like, you know, branches, and then we take our sleeping bags and put it over it, and then have a little fire nearby and heat up rocks. You bring them into the sweat lodge and pour water over them, heats it up, and so it's like a sauna experience. And it's just this really amazing experience with this interesting, eclectic, you know, hippie traveler group of people who we get to know quite well in the course of spending every day hanging out together over the next like week or so. And so I still have like 5 or 6 weeks left in Hawaii after this point. So I decide to go for a food run, get more food, and come back. Most of the people leave the valley there and hike back out. And I hike out, leaving my tent there so that I have a empty backpack, and go to maybe Papayas or else maybe somewhere in Honolulu and fill up my backpack with a bunch of food, do the hike back out there, and then stay out there for a while longer. And so at some point I am there, this time camping kind of more out of the way, and I run into this girl, same age-ish, 20 something, who is having a basically potluck stew every night by the beach. And so she says, hey, come on down if you want to join us for our little, you know, sunset get-together dinner. So I say, great. And she says, just bring whatever you want, bring one thing, and we put it in the pot and cook up the stew and have dinner and hang out and talk and watch the sunset. And so that evening I popped down there, and I forget how many people, maybe 4, 5, 6. It's not a big gathering or anything. And we have this stew, just whatever people have. Throw in lentils, potatoes, dried maybe beans, or I don't know, just whatever anyone has. It was really just bring whatever and we're gonna cook it all up together. And it was always delicious. And so this became a routine over the next while. Every evening, go down there, have dinner. And so I was enjoying myself so much out there that I decided to go back for yet another food run and head back out there again. And so I do that, go back and spend a while longer out in the valley. And I think that girl, whose name was Aiko, that was absolutely one of the most just peaceful and kind of magical periods of my life. Just getting really immersed in nature, going barefoot most of the time, listening to the wind in the trees and the waves, swimming in the ocean every day, just really being, you know, in the here now. And then I went back several more times since then. In 1998, I went back to Kauai again. That is a whole other story, which I will save for another video. But in 2007, before going to Thailand, India, Nepal, and then I came back to Kauai from that Asia trip and did the hike again that time. And then I was living here in Kauai in 2011, 2012. I did the hike again that time, made a video about it. And then again in 2015 with Sterling, which was the last time that I did the Kalalau Trail, almost a decade ago now. So, amazing place. I look forward to going back again another time. You have to get a permit in the Hui, which is valid for 5 days, and costs, I don't know, maybe $25 a day now. Back then it was $5 a day. But definitely an experience of a lifetime. Okay, so far, no word from Yeshua still. Man, what happened to that guy? Ay, ay, ay. What to do, what to do. Hopefully I hear from him soon, and we can go do our waterfall hiking adventure. Otherwise, I guess I'm doing another... Thank you. Otherwise, I guess I'm doing a solo adventure today, so... I don't know where he's staying. He has this house sitting gig, so... Anyways, tomorrow is my last day in Kauai before catching a flight the next day. As I've said, south, down the Pacific. Looking forward to where I'm going next. All right. Probably more coming from Hawaii. Aloha. So speaking of hostels, Kauai Beach House Hostel. This is not the hostel that I mentioned that I stayed at back in 1997. There's another one, other side of the street, which I think is still closed. They had both closed because of COVID, but I guess this one opened back up and is getting renovated, so that is a budget option, the Kauai Beach House Hostel. Although apparently the dorm beds are $85 a night, so budget is a relative term here in Hawaii.